So this is my audience for my speech on standardized testing and why it is ineffective. That is my mom and my dad. So like I said, my speech is on standardized testing and why it is ineffective. Most schools use standardized testing as a method of measuring students' knowledge. These tests use multiple choice, true or false, or short answer questions that students must answer within a certain period of time. Standardized tests are used to measure how much knowledge a student has retained in subjects such as English, history, language, math, and science. Most schools consider standardized tests a requirement, but I do not believe that they should be for a number of reasons. In this speech, I will go over why standardized tests are ineffective, why they have been used for so long, and the alternatives for them. So my first point is why standardized testing is ineffective. One of those reasons is that it exercises students to think with more binary thinking rather than directional thinking. Binary thinking is very black and white. It is either yes or no, true or false, or right or wrong. Marissa Elgman, an author of an article about standardized testing being ineffective, states that binary thinking doesn't allow students to think creatively. It rather forces them to think how the test maker wants them to. Whereas directional thinking is more of a step-by-step process. So students need to exercise their directional thinking rather than binary thinking, even though binary thinking feels like a lot more of a secure thought process because directional thinking takes much more time and thought, but directional thinking also allows their mind to expand on what subject that they are learning. Also, an example of this is that subjects like literature and poetry require a deeper thought process, and the SAT and ACT only provide a few multiple choice answers, which shows that they care more about binary thinking than directional thinking. Also, standardized tests were never supposed to measure the quality of learning and teaching in the first place. The SAT, MAT, CAT, and ITBS were all designed for only half of the test takers to do well on. According to Alfie Kahn, author of Standardized Tests and Its Victims, the main objective of this test is to rank, not to rate, to spread out the scores, not to gauge on the quality of a given school or student. Many education associations and councils agree that standardized testing should not dictate getting into college or being able to graduate. There are reasons, however, why standardized testing is still prevalent today. One of those reasons is scholarship opportunities. Many colleges recognize and appreciate exceptional SAT and ACT scores. If a student does well in either or both of these tests, colleges often grant significant scholarships to these students. According to Thomas Broderick, author of an article about standardized tests, Auburn University offers $2,500 to $5,000 to students who score between a 1250 and 1490 on their SAT, along with a GPA of 3.5. Also, another example is the American University offers $10,000 or more to students who get the National Achievement or if they are a National Merit finalist. So as long as students dedicate their time to studying for these tests, they will do well and receive excellent scholarships. Also, if a student's GPA is low, good scores on the SAT and ACT help strengthen college applications. It is possible to prepare for the SAT and ACT. I had a class in high school that specifically was for practicing for the ACT and the SAT. We went over example questions for each category that would be in the actual tests. Preparing well for these tests gives students a chance to make their college applications look better despite their GPA. There are alternatives to standardized testing. Most countries don't even require students to take standardized tests. According to the book Educational Leadership by Iris C. Rotberg, Canada, Finland, France, Japan, and Sweden do not use tests to hold educators accountable. Some do not even administer standardized tests until secondary school. So if other successful countries have a well-developed education system without using standardized testing, then so can the United States. One great alternative for standardized testing is social emotional skills surveys. Some schools give students a 20-question survey known as the Gallup poll, which measures their hope, engagement, and general well-being in school. Being able to analyze a student's hope for the future, their level of engagement in school, and also how well they are doing personally allows teachers and college recruiters to understand their goals and motivational level to get into college. According to NPR, student scores on this poll do a better job of predicting college persistence than high school GPA, SATs, or even ACT scores. So in conclusion, there is an abundance of proof, in which I shared some with you, that standardized testing is ineffective. Even though there are still benefits to standardized testing, such as scholarship money and an alternative to a low GPA, there are other more effective ways to evaluate students' academic growth as well as their motivation levels. George Washington University President Thomas LeBlanc states that we know what the best predictor of college performance is: high school performance, not the SAT. Thank you.